another book review. This one may surprise you guys that I haven't read it already, but I just did, and that is Divergent by Veronica Roth. Okay, so before we get started, let's address the fact that I bet a bunch of you are like, you haven't read that yet? Why not? Well, I am not a huge sci-fi fan. And when The Hunger Games came out, it's all anyone talked about. And that does the opposite of what it does to most people. When it's all over the board and I'm watching something that has nothing to do with books and stuff, and all they talk about is The Hunger Games, it doesn't intrigue me. It's kind of off-putting. I don't follow trends. And after The Hunger Games came out, I looked into it. I've been looking into it. It does not intrigue me. The world feels kind of hokey to me. Sci-fi, you have to get right. It either is hokey or it's very realistic. And while The Hunger Games is really realistic to a lot of people, it's not to me. And I've looked into it a million times. I don't plan on reading it. I'm sorry. I know you're probably like, okay, a lot of people on BookTube refuse to read books that I'm obsessed with, so to each their own. But Divergent followed the trend set by a book series I wasn't a fan of. As Hunger Games got bigger and bigger, it got more in my face, and Divergent was along those lines. Now, I know why now, it's a good book, but at the time it was so off-putting and I wouldn't read it, and dystopian now has reached the point where if I hear it's a dystopia, I'm like, that I'm not touching. I'm not touching that. So you may be going, then how did you get into Divergent? Well, my friend kept talking about it, and the trailers for the movie came out, and they looked good, and they looked kind of really good, and I was like, maybe I should look into this. And so I talked with my best friend la+knight, and she honestly was like, I don't know if you'll like it because of your flaws that you have with The Hunger Games. She's like, I don't know. And she said, I definitely think this is better written than The Hunger Games. She's like, I definitely think the world is better than The Hunger Games. And she's like, I like the main character more than Katniss from The Hunger Games, but I don't know if you'll like it. And so I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I just was kind of like, my friend's hesitation made me hesitate. So finally, I just saw the movie first. And I know you're like, blasphemy, blasphemy! But seriously, a lot of series that I'm heavily into, like I Am Number 4, I have the movie cover because I liked the movie so much that I picked up the book. Other books, other people have watched the movies. If you've seen The Lord of the Rings and never read them, you're in that category. A lot of people didn't read The Lord of the Rings before they saw at least one of the movies. So, you know, it's not that big of a deal for me. I wasn't sure I'd like it, but I was hoping it would be like I Am Number 4. I'd like the movie a lot, and then I'd pick up the book and fall in love with it. Well, I saw the movie, loved it. Loved it. I was like, I don't even care if the books suck. I don't care. The movie is so good, I'm gonna own it sometime. It's on my list of things to get. So I was like, fine, I'll pick up. I walked out of the theater and I'm like, I'm definitely reading the book. And people, like, I was with my best friend la+knight, my sister Megan, and la+knight's mother. Mama la+knight, I guess. Mrs. Martindale. And Mrs. Martindale was so kind to take me. Thank you so much for taking me. I am a huge Divergent fan now, because I was like, okay, they were comparing it and they were contrasting it, and they said, like, certain characters, they're like, I like how the book did it better, and other parts, like how Tobias was able to remember who Triss was, a lot of it there were like, it's very, very different, but just as good. And so I was like, I'm definitely picking up the book. So I did. And I love it. I love this book. It is so well done. No, I'm not reading The Hunger Games yet. If only because Catching Fire ruined The Hunger Games for me. Oh my goodness, Catching Fire everywhere. It was like, catching fire, catching fire, catching fire in my face. It was so annoying. Oh my goodness. But Divergent didn't do that. I loved the movie, and now I love the book. And as you can see, I'm hopping up and down. I'm so excited. I love this book. It's so well done. Oh my goodness. So let's get on to my notes that I wrote down very quickly just before filming this. This is a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a favorite. This is a favorite. It is up there with Lord of the Rings. It's up there. Well, actually, I like it way better than I like I Am Number 4. I like it better. I just did a Bloodhound thing. I like it better than Bloodhound. I like it a lot better than Bloodhound. It is fantastic. I give this a 96%. I will explain why in a little bit. The movie was very, very true to the book. It was one of the best book-to-movie adaptations that I know of. Yes, there are some slight changes. A bunch of those changes happen because of pacing of the movie or timing, which I respect that, because, you know, the last thing that you want is you think that the adaptation of your movie was very true to the book, but it was a sucky movie. That is the last thing you want. You don't want your movie to fail. You don't want it to disappear out of theaters within a few months. You never want that. And in case you don't know, that happened to me. That is like the worst thing ever. And even if you think the movie's good, when everyone else hates on the movie, it's not fun. I don't know if you know that. So Divergent, I respect all the movie changes. I seriously do. But in a lot of cases, just like they said, the book had more to it. It had more depth, and I loved it. The world is very, very believable. That is one of the big things. The Hunger Games, the biggest thing for me is I can't get into the world. Despite any flaws that I have, I just think it's fake. I'm sorry, I'm not the only one. A lot of people who actually do read and watch movies a lot haven't gotten into the Hunger Games for one simple thing, which is believability. You have to get into the world. The world has to pull you in. It has to look real to you or you are not gonna read it. la+knight has this where she's like, this book was really good until this one part, and she's like, and it's like a kick to the face. Suddenly everything seems fake, and it's very difficult to finish the book. It's very difficult to get into it. And the Hunger Games, from the get-go, I could not get into it, and every time I would try to, the believability just wasn't there. It's not there. It is absolutely there in Divergent. It is so believable. That was the first thing that remarked. Within 20 minutes I went, I can get, this world is so believable. I totally buy into the faction idea. I totally buy into the test thing. I totally buy into what it does that makes the problems. And the other things that I've heard about the world from the next books, I've been spoiled by a lot of this, guys. I don't really care. I'm not one of those people who's like horrified. Sometimes I am, but I know a lot of things are gonna go happen in the next book for this, but I don't want to know spoilers for the 6th book for this one. But yeah, so spoils, it depends. And since I hadn't gotten into the world yet, I didn't care, and I still don't care, but I don't want any more spoilers. Like, almost no more spoilers, because I love this book so much. It's very cool the way the faction thing works, and that is one of the things that draws me in. It's in the book, and it's not in the movie, but in the book especially. There's this emphasis that because of how the faction thing works, you can only be one thing. And it's brought up, it is mentioned kind of in the movie, but it isn't as big, and it isn't, I didn't notice it as well as I did in the book, where 4 talks about how he doesn't want to be just one thing. And a good person isn't just one thing. There are multiple things. And so that was really cool to see. It made me very grateful that, you know, I didn't have that. I couldn't just be one thing. The thing that I love the most is Triss. I love how Triss is. I love her. And the main thing that I love about her is she has a quality that I am not seeing. It's not in this book. It's not in this book. It's not in these books. It's not in a lot of books. The majority of books don't have it, and it's a problem. They talk about it in fan fiction because fan fiction, they have it in there a lot too, and it's justification. Well, I can do this because I'm justified. Like, justification in, like, this is just one thing. In Mercedes Lackey's world, no one cares that the heralds sleep around. Because the heralds, you know, they have the most dangerous jobs in the world, in the country and stuff. And so, you know, they sacrifice so much, so we're gonna let it slide. But if anyone else sleeps around, you know, we frown upon that. But if it's a herald, oh, it's okay. There's this justification in there. There's a justification in Bloodhound. There's justification in a lot of things. Triss gives herself none. She gives herself zero justification. And even when she does things like, she's like, I shouldn't feel this way, but I do. And even then, she's still not justifying herself. She's like, I do. I shouldn't, but I do. And it's more just a statement. She always is like, I need to be better. And one of the things that she learns from 4 is that's not very common in her world. And I really, really like it that she just gives herself no justification from the beginning to the end. There's very little justification. And I like that a lot. I like it. She does the right thing because it's right. And when she doesn't do the right thing, she feels bad because it's not right. No, there's no excuse. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I like that. She makes it very strict on herself. And you know, the majority of the time, even in the world today, most people do not believe that. And I love that it's in here. I love that. I also like the history of the factions are brought up and how what the factions were supposed to be is not what they are. And even in, you know, this kind of seems spoilerific if you haven't read it, but even in Abnegation, where she's from, that's shown. It's shown with For's history and their leader, Marcus. It's shown none of the factions are the way that they were created to be and what they're supposed to be. Partially because it's really kind of impossible, but I like that, and it shows how all systems can be corrupted, including this one that everyone's like, it's the way that it's perfected. Well, it showed, they talk about this, how there was this gradual slide downward into where the world is when Triss it has to choose which faction she'll be in. Getting into the nitty-gritty, some more specific things, this is kind of spoilerific, but I still don't like present tense. I don't like present tense. I know, I just showed I am number 4, this is present tense. I don't like it in I am number 4. I really don't like it in I am number 4, and I don't like it in Divergent. I am just not a fan of present tense. And long before the Hunger Games came out, when I was in elementary school, I owned and read this book that was written in present tense, and it bugged me then, and it bugs me now. But the story and the characters and the world just pulled me through it no matter what. Again, which is an amazing thing. That isn't true in I am number 4, but it is true in Divergent, and I'm able to just slide past it. But every time I was like, is this in present tense? I think it's in present tense, because I was noticing my thought processes were a little weird, because I read it all in one day. I really did. I picked it up and I didn't put it down. And when I put it down, it was on my brain. And so present tense kind of messes up with my thought process, so I'm just not a fan. And Uriah is hilarious. I don't remember him from the movie. If he's in the movie, he's not there a lot. Like, he doesn't have he's not there as much as he is in the book. And he's hilarious, and I'm looking forward to more Uriah in the next book. So now we're going on to the specific scenes, and then we'll talk about the one thing that bothers me, the one thing that makes this a 95% instead of 100. So first, going back to how the factions went into that downward slope, is when they're talking about the Dauntless Manifesto, and it's, we believe in ordinary acts of bravery and the courage that drives one person to stand up for another. I love that. It is on my favorite quotes on Goodreads. Good link to that page is down below. I just love that. I love that quote because I think everyone should believe in that, in the ordinary acts of bravery and the courage that drives one person to stand up for another, especially nowadays with bullying so bad. Bullying was horrible back in the day, and one of the things to combat bullying is they talk about that. They talk about the one, just stand up. And it takes a ton of courage to do it. And I love that this is pushing you to be more courageous, pushing you not just to face your fears, to acknowledge your fears, to acknowledge you may never fully get over it, but that courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving through your fear. And it is terrifying standing up to a bully. It's terrifying being the only kid going and talking to an adult. It's terrifying when, even as an adult, managers can be quite brutal. And it's terrifying standing up and saying, you don't have the right to do that to me. We need that. We need people to be that courageous. I love that it's in there. And of course, the other line about courage, fear doesn't shut you down, it wakes you up. Yes. Yes, when I heard that line in the trailer, I fell in love with it then, and I'm still a fan with it now. On to funnier scenes. This one is between Christina and Triss, and I just love it. Can you be a girl for a few seconds? I'm always a girl. I frown. You know what I mean, like a silly annoying girl. I twirl my hair around my finger. Kay? She grins so wide I can see her back row of teeth. Will kiss me. What? When? How? What happened? You can be a girl! I died reading that. I died. It was so funny. Oh man, I love that. And then this one, this was so funny. And it's when going on how For is in Triss's fear landscape. And she goes, maybe you wouldn't be in my fear landscape anymore, I murmur. He bends his head and kisses me slowly. Then everyone can call you 6. 4 and 6. Already happened! Sorry, it's already been done. I literally laughed out loud when I read it because I'm like, that's 4. And she's not on the covers. There are 2 female leads in the first book, and the other female lead is 6. It's already been done. They kind of start dating a little bit in the series. It's already been done. I like cracked up so hard. Alright, on to the thing that bugged me. And it's just because I saw the movie first. Not that I knew like all the twists. I didn't know all the twists, but I knew pretty much everyone who died. I knew that there was more to Al's story. I knew a lot of these things. When she goes into 4's fears. It isn't actually how 4 is during the fears. That's fine. But I just felt like that was more thought out in the movie. They thought it out more. They made it more, you know, not just about I want to show you who I am. It was also I want to show you who I am, but it's also they tie it more in the movie that you can't just be so divergent and just throw your fear landscapes off very quickly. That is in this book. That is totally in the book. But in the movie, it's more discussed. No, that can kill you. You can't just keep throwing it off the way you do. You have to act like most people, and 4 shows her how using his fears. It is also a reason in the movie why he isn't so panic-stricken. It's easier for him to focus. He is definitely scared. The actor, I don't know his name's on the screen right now. The actor definitely looks scared, especially at the beginning when he's standing up. He's like, he's shaking. He is shaking. That is a scared man. That is a terrified man. But he keeps talking to her because it helps him focus through his fears. And I know this because I have anxiety issues and depression issues. I've had full-blown panic attacks. That will help you move. And it does kind of help a little bit in this. It is brought up a little bit, but not so much. But the thing that really just I don't like is right afterwards. And it's this moment. It's before he starts freaking out. I don't mind that. It is just before when he is looking her with awe. I'm sorry, in my head, it just, when I'm reading, what I'm seeing in my head is awkward and weird. And it didn't flow right. I talk about the flow a lot with my friend la+knight when I'm writing. I haven't done a video about writing, but that's the thing, that's a big thing that I study in books is their flow. And this is the only part where the flow goes, it doesn't flow. It's just, I reread it and was like, that's pretty much what my face was. And it wasn't that it was out of character for 4, it was just awkward. When he broke down, right after that, it's the paragraph, literally the paragraph before he grabs her, holds onto her, and is basically having a breakdown. That is fine. I have anxiety. I know what that's like. I know guys who know what that's like. It read so awkward to me. That's the only thing. It only takes 4% off of it. It's still a 5 out of 5. It is still a 96%. It is still a favorite. I am definitely gonna own this. I am definitely reading the next 2 books, hands down. They are in my TBR. Yeah, I do love this book. I love this book. But yeah, that's Divergent by Veronica Roth. Yeah, I'm late to the party. Don't really care because I enjoyed it very, very much. I definitely recommend this to everyone. If you like young adults, if you like sci-fi, if you're a dystopian fan, you will like this book if you have not read it. Probably every single one of my viewers already has. Alright, so thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I also did a review of Bloodhound. I will link that down below. I will link my last video down below. Subscribe to see more of this. Subscribe to see my thoughts on Insurgent and Allegiant. I just did Divergent. Alright, love you guys so much for watching. Boo!